There are 4 data sets currently available on the CDS which would be of interest to stakeholders in the energy sector. To find these, search for the term energy using the search box. 8 results will be returned, but it is the top data set and the 3 Era 5 data sets which are of most interest. The other results refer to natural energy transfers and exchanges between the Earth's spheres. For the purpose of this lesson, we will be focusing on climate data for the European energy sector from 1979 to 2016, derived from ERA Interim. Note there are 3 tabs, all of which are important. The overview screen shown here provides you with a summary of the dataset's properties, context, and origin. The climate data for European energy sector dataset is of particular interest because, as stated here, it was generated in close collaboration with a set of prospective users, particularly the energy industry and policymakers. There is a substantial amount of background information provided via the documentation tab, but we'll come back to that later. The information provided in the data description section gives you important properties of the dataset. The horizontal and temporal coverage and resolution, the file format of the downloaded data, in this case netcdf, and that the data type is gridded. There are 8 main variables in this dataset. These are meteorological variables which have been chosen due to their importance to energy stakeholders. For example, global horizontal irradiance, which in simple terms is the amount of solar radiation that hits the Earth's surface, would be useful to the developers of solar farms or solar engineers. Precipitation, or the amount of rainfall, may be of interest to those who need to monitor and predict stream flow, which can impact on hydroelectric power generation. Indeed, a number of energy indicators and datasets can be constructed from these meteorological variables, and examples of how this has happened will be focused on later. You can find out more about the variables by clicking on the Documentation tab. Here, a link is provided to give you a comprehensive background information about a project that utilizes this dataset. You can explore this website at your leisure, but with regards to information about the variables, click on Demonstrator, and then scroll down to click on C3S ESEM Demonstrator. This is the European Climatic Energy Mixes, or ESEM, demonstrator. It visualizes the variables that you can download from the dataset, plus some others. We will focus on the ESEM demonstrator and how it works in more detail later on this lesson. To access the details about the data variables, there is a help box in the bottom left. Depending on your screen resolution, it may be appearing as a red box that is yet to be expanded. If so, click on this red box. And then click on Variable Fact Sheets. Clicking on any of the top row of icons will download a PDF fact sheet of that climate variable. This fact sheet will provide you with useful information, including citations and contacts of those who worked to develop that variable. You may also notice that there are 4 other variables that make up a second row: energy demand, hydropower generation, solar power generation, and wind power generation. These are additional variables which have been constructed using the meteorological variables as a component. As mentioned before, how to use the ECEN demonstrator to explore these energy variables, as well as the meteorological variables, will feature later in this lesson. For now, let us return to the CDS and look at how to download the meteorological variable netcdf files. To download the data, click the Download Data tab. Selecting what data to download is very intuitive, but there are some things to note. First, you must make at least one selection in each box. Secondly, given that there is a high amount of data, you will be unable to simply select everything to download at once, as I will demonstrate. The button used to submit a request to download the data will turn faded and red, instructing you to reduce your selection. In fact, you may only download one item at a time. This may be a limitation if you wish to access the data itself in netcdf format. However, the later section of this lesson, which focuses on the ECEN demonstrator, will present to you a way of accessing the data more efficiently and quickly. Once you have made your selection, the button at the bottom will turn green and display Submit Form. Click on this and your request will be queued. Once the download is ready, a green button will appear, and the file will download as a .nc file extension netcdf file. Now you know how to access data available on the CDS that is relevant to the energy sector. On the next slide, you'll be asked a few questions to help you practice.